Okay, good morning. Today we will discuss on chapter 10. Chapter 10 is about the condensation of the strategy and the implementation of the strategy. Now, before we move on to the chapter, I would like to remind you again about the stages in strategic management. The first stage that we have discussed, um, strategic management have got the strategy development. Strategy development, that's the first phase. The second phase is strategy implementation. Strategy implementation. The third one is strategy evaluation. We spend about 9 chapters discussing on the strategy development part, because strategy development part is the most important factors in strategic management. So when we talk about strategic development, we have visioning ataupun development of the strategic vision, about vision and mission. It's about the goals, about the objective or targets. We set that up first. On the second part of strategy development is the analysis, the environmental analysis. Environmental analysis, we know that there are 3 parts of environmental analysis. The first one is uh, the pastel. When we study the industry wide, the environment wide, the environment wide of the businesses that comprises of the political, economy, uh, social, technology, environment, and regulation. So this is important because we want to make sure that when we do our strategy, we do take into consideration what is happening outside of the company. So the second part is the Porter 5 horses. The Porter 5 horses look into the industry. We look into the how the industry is actually currently forming, who is our competitor, who is our future or potential competitor. We look into who is our customer and how they actually can influence our business. We look into the supplier and see how the supplier might then improve, uh, okay, have an impact on how we do business as well. Then we have the uh, potential threats in terms of substitution. Substitution. So would we are looking into, would we be our product will be substituted by another product, right? That's on the pastel. Then we have the third one. We're talking about the industry. We're talking about the industry. The management part, the internal part, the internal part of the organization. When we do our analysis, we're looking at into our management capabilities. We look into our products. We also be looking into um, our finance, as well as our ability to do businesses. So that is on the environmental part. Then we move on into the type of strategy. Type of strategy. The first one is strategic visioning. We are still at strategy development. First one is on looking on the strategy direction. The second part is the analysis of the environment. The third one is actually understanding what is strategy. Now, strategy, as you may recall, we have got 3 levels of strategy. The first one is corporate. The second one is business. The third one is functional. So once you know the different level of a strategy, then we move on to the next chapter, 7, 8, and 9. We're looking into the tools that we use to develop our strategies, because strategies don't come from dreams. It must be something that is systematically being analyzed, and we need to understand would that be the best strategy for us to undertake based on a scientific approach. Now, we know that in chapter 7 we did SWOT and space. Yes, SWOT and space. The element of SWOT and space is more or less the same. They look into the strength, weaknesses, opportunities and threats, and they look into the two different perspectives. What are those perspectives? We look into internal and external. Strength, weaknesses are based on internal, opportunities and threats are based on external. Then you actually also learn about space. Space also look into quadrants that actually have element of internal and external. The element of internal and external. We are talking about the internal part, financial capabilities, as well as our competitive advantage. Then we look into the external part in terms of industry attractiveness and environmental stability. So the difference between space and SWOT is that space is a bit more defined, whereas SWOT is more or less in general. Okay, then the next one that we actually look into was the blue ocean strategy. Blue ocean strategy. We know that when we compete as a business, we have two perspectives. If we are using blue ocean, the first one is the red ocean strategy. The second one is the blue ocean strategy. So what are red ocean? What are blue ocean? Red ocean strategy is when you are competing in the same market, you are killing each other, so that the company is bleeding. That's why we see that. That's why we say that it is a red ocean strategy. Whereas the blue ocean strategy is that when you create your own market, create your own demand, right? So you are not competing with any other companies. You are creating a new demand in the industry. So that is when you are complementing. So with the other company instead of competing with them. So that is why we call it blue ocean. There is element in blue ocean. I think we have actually touched it the other day. Then we went on to the think big strategy. Think big strategy is based on the concept of idea and implementation. It must be a big idea, different approach, something new that is not currently being thought of by the strategies from your competitors. So the different part is on the idealization, and then on the improvement of the idea and the implementation of the idea. So that is how more or less we actually develop our strategy, by understanding our direction, then by actually understanding the environment, lastly by understanding what are the tools that we need to use in order for us to develop our strategy. Now, moving forward, once you have developed the strategy, module number 10 is about consolidating all those strategies and then knowing how we should be able to execute or implement those strategies. So chapter 10 is about implementation. So I will close the lecture for the time being. Right, I want you to actually reflect what you have learned, understand what you have learned, and actually I want you to answer questions. The question that actually I have prepared for you. So I actually leave you for the time being.